My name's John Donnelly. I'm an artist, first and foremost, and in particular, a painter. People ask, when did I first know that that's what I was going to do, that I was going to be an artist, and it's like, it sounds like such a trite answer or an answer that you hear like, oh, I've been painting all my life, it's like, but in fact, probably around the age of 5, like I'm in kindergarten and I loved painting, like on the easel, I had a big paper easel, about this size, maybe a little bit smaller, big paper. And I would, they had temper paints and they'd give you an apron to put on and put the apron on. And I was in my element. And I loved it. And I truly knew then that that's what I loved. And there was some deep rooted satisfaction about painting that I didn't even know what that was. Like I didn't think about, like it wasn't like, oh, you're creative or something like that. Or yeah, I just just did it all the time, drew all the time. I don't work for the audience, unless it's like a commission piece, like a mural or things like that. And some of my work, has a particular audience and is shown. Like I show at a Art Access Gallery in Bexley, Ohio, and she prefers, and her clientele, and different galleries have different clientele, but her clientele really gravitates towards my abstract work, my work that's non-referential. I'm always going to paint. I got on this series of skulls because it started with just talking with a couple other artists. We talked like, oh, we should do some skulls, But I also had this influence of being in Italy and seeing a lot of the skulls in Christian art that have to do with our mortality and have to do with getting your life right. So I started doing skulls, but I started doing them less figuratively than you would recognize. So like on Yupo paper, and I have some really large ones as well, but these are some of the small ones. When I say large, really large, like 5 feet, 6 feet, mounted on wood. Part of a long history called Memento mori, which means remember that you will die. In short, that's what it comes from a lot of ancient practices. But in Italy, there's a Capuchin chapel, which is made up of, and many chapels around the world that monks have made up chapels out of their bones and skulls. And one in Rome has a saying in it at the base of the chapel. It says, "What you are, we once were. What we are now, you will become." So
it's kind of like, a reminder of our humanity, but also for me of like getting yourself ready. Like this life isn't all there is. There's an afterlife. As they, it's all going to change because as they dry, the ink changes and it moves. Um, it's like the dark over here that's really, really dark. It'll stay fairly dark, but it's also going to dry up and you can even see it's like starting to scallop. And then sometimes just long looking, and then you stop and you look for a long time. I never have a clear idea of what it's going to look like in the end, and that's wonderful. I don't want to go through my day knowing what my day is going to be like. Like I want to end up almost with more questions. I want to end up